I moved to Norway in 2011. It was the middle of August. And let me tell you something about August in Norway. The weather is gorgeous. And so I guess you could say that the first winter was a shock. It was about 9 months after I finished my master's thesis, and I moved there to start a full-time job as a researcher at the Norwegian Social Research Institute. And it was the first time I got to work as a researcher full-time in my entire life. So it was a really, really exciting opportunity. It didn't happen by accident, though. It was the result of years and years of preparation, years and years worth of strategic decision-making. I had wanted to live in Europe from a very early age. I think the first time I went there, I was a teenager. My great aunt and uncle took me, and my parents were kind and generous enough to give me the financial support I needed to go there with them and spend about a month, I think. And we ran around from London down through France and drove through Switzerland and spent a few weeks in Italy. We just soaked up all of the culture. We saw all of the sights that we could see, and of course, ate all of the food. For a young kid, it was just an absolutely magical experience. I remember still to this day, the flight there. I remember touching down in Heathrow, and I remember just the atmosphere, the smells, the people, everything that just it was so much information that just got pushed at you all at once. And so much of it was brand new, because traveling, it just does exactly that. It gives you this completely new experience of the world and to live life through other cultures and societies' lenses. So it really affected me. And the minute I got home, I had immediately started making plans to go back, because it was just something that I connected with the culture and the communities there in a really strong way. So after I saved a little bit of money, I went back to, I actually spent some time in Milan where I studied, and it was, again, a really amazing experience, because now it wasn't just visiting for tourism, but it was actually living in the community. And again, it kind of blew my mind, because I was able to see life in a whole different way, and it really, really changed my perspective. Since that time, I went back a few times for vacations. I was working full-time and going to school full-time, so I had a little bit extra money to do these sorts of things. And in my free time, I basically spent a lot of effort researching how someone goes about moving and living and working in Europe. And I honestly didn't even care where in Europe. I just wanted to live there somewhere. Of course, my preference probably would have been somewhere Italy or maybe in the Mediterranean somewhere, but it didn't really matter ultimately. I just wanted to be there. I just wanted to kind of be part of that culture. What I discovered in my research and in my efforts to see how someone goes about moving and studying or moving and living in Europe was that there are these things called national borders. And they're designed expressly to let some people in and keep other people out, which is totally fine. You know, I have a respect for national sovereignty. You know, I'm not one who would say that we need to get rid of our borders. I would love it if we could get rid of the passport system. That would be fantastic. But I get why we need national borders. And it just made reaching my goal a little bit more difficult, because, you know, it wasn't as if every country on earth was kind of saying, yeah, if you're midway through your bachelor's degree, why don't you come here and try to find a job? That would be great. We would love it if you could do that. No country wants that. So I had to continue to figure out what are the ways in which people end up moving to Europe. And so one of the things I had discovered was that eventually, if you get enough education, a lot of countries will look at you and say, oh, you've got a lot of education, you must have a lot of skills. And so, yeah, we were welcome to come here and either look for a job or come here and work. And so I figured that might be a way I could go about this. I was just finishing my bachelor's degree, and I had kind of thought about getting a master's degree anyways. And so I was like, hey, this is a great chance. We'll kill two birds with one stone. I'll get a master's, and boom, I'll be off to Europe. While I was getting my master's, I also discovered that for some countries, if you have a relative who was born there, who is a citizen, then you can apply for citizenship. So I said, oh, this is a great opportunity. My grandparents were born in Greece, so easy peasy, I can get Greek citizenship, or maybe I can just go to Greece and live and work. Turns out, not such an easy task. You, of course, need a lot of documentation. You need all birth certificates of everybody in your family so you can show that there's a direct lineage. You need marriage certificates so you can show that everybody was married. And these things weren't exactly easy to get. So I spent some time working with different family members, trying to see what was possible, if anybody had these documents, where these documents might be located, who I would have to contact to get these documents. In the end, it was a futile effort because these documents just weren't available. So I just had to wait. I just kind of sat back and said, if I get to move to Europe, great, but right now it's just not going to happen. So after I finished my master's degree, it was at that point I thought I have a really good chance. I'm still in my middle of my career. I finished my master's. I can kind of see the possibilities for moving somewhere as kind of a highly skilled person. So I started looking for work abroad just in earnest. I was looking all over the place, Europe specifically, but also looking in Canada and Australia, just so I could get that international experience, that experience working abroad. I concentrated almost all of my efforts on academia. I looked a little bit for like US government positions that might be in different countries, but mostly I just focused on academia. I said, that's probably my best chance. And I discovered a program here in Europe funded by the EU called Marie Curie Fellowship Program. And so I was like, all right, this is cool. This might work out. Again, these are research positions funded by the EU, but they're hosted in different institutes all over Europe. They are very competitive, so I knew I was up against a really challenging opportunity. But they also came with a lot of fringe benefits. Everything I could find about the different positions came with training funding for travel to do research and collect data, funding to return home after the fellowship. So it was a really compelling opportunity. So I really tried to focus on those. But then I was also taking interviews with universities in Canada and Italy and Australia. And finally, I was interviewed and awarded a Marie Curie Fellowship to come here to Oslo and work in Norway. The rest, as you could say, was history. But I want to get to the takeaways here because I think this is important. Sometimes in life, things feel like they happen just by magic. It's just you snap your fingers and then suddenly something changes in your life and you've achieved a goal that you couldn't have imagined achieving before. But more often, it takes a lot of perseverance, it takes a lot of diligence, and it takes a lot of focused effort. And it takes opportunities, and a lot of times opportunities are influenced by the privilege we have. So I say that if you have a goal, be prepared to use a combination of really focused effort, resilience to kind of get you through times where you try and fail, and then the fact that a lot of the luck that comes about from an opportunity can be influenced by the privilege that you have. I wouldn't be where I am today if it weren't for the privileges that I've been afforded. And I also wouldn't be here today if I hadn't focused my effort and really persisted in the work that I wanted to do. So I just want to encourage you to persist, to really focus your effort to the best of your ability, and to take advantage of all the opportunities you have.